In late March 2025, the heart of Moscow was shattered by a violent explosion that echoed through the city's cold night air, sending shockwaves far beyond Russia's borders. The world watched in disbelief as chaos erupted in one of the most heavily guarded areas on Earth. The target was none other than President Vladimir Putin's motorcade, which was traveling just steps away from the iconic Kremlin walls, a place synonymous with Russian power and secrecy. An official Aurus Senat limousine, the armored flagship of the Russian elite, was suddenly engulfed in a fireball. The attack was brazen, unmistakable, an assassination attempt on one of the world's most controversial and closely guarded leaders. Flames lit up the night, and the world held its breath, waiting for news of Putin's fate. The attack sent shockwaves through a world already teetering on the edge, threatening to unravel delicate peace negotiations aimed at ending the grinding war in Ukraine. Newsrooms across the globe scrambled to cover the unfolding crisis as analysts speculated about the consequences for international stability. Suddenly, every calculation and hope for peace was thrown into chaos. Financial markets plunged, diplomats exchanged urgent messages, and ordinary people everywhere watched in fear as the world seemed to tilt toward disaster. The world demanded answers. Was this the work of an internal coup, a foreign intelligence operation, or the desperate act of a lone wolf? Rumors and theories spread like wildfire as Russian officials stonewalled the press and global leaders demanded clarity. For over 2 decades, Vladimir Putin has projected an image of invincibility, an unyielding leader who survived countless crises and outmaneuvered his rivals. But this attack shattered that myth, exposing vulnerabilities at the very heart of the Russian state and raising questions about who truly holds power in Moscow. The smoldering wreckage of the limousine became an instant symbol of instability, a stark reminder that even the most fortified regimes can be shaken. Global leaders convened emergency meetings, and the world's financial centers braced for further turmoil. The implications of the attack reach far beyond Russia's borders. Old alliances are being tested, new ones are forming in the shadows, and the specter of renewed conflict looms over regions already scarred by war. Military analysts warn that the balance of power could shift overnight. The stability of a nuclear-armed nation is now in question, and the fate of fragile peace talks hangs in the balance. The world is forced to confront the terrifying possibility of escalation, as the risk of miscalculation grows with every passing hour. Tonight, the world stands at a crossroads, staring into a future more uncertain than ever before. As leaders weigh their next moves, and citizens everywhere hold their breath, one thing is clear. History is being rewritten in real time, and no one knows what tomorrow will bring. The March 2025 attack was not Putin's first brush with death. In fact, attempts on his life have become a recurring theme throughout his decades in power, shaping both his leadership style and the way the world perceives him. Over his long rule, he's survived numerous assassination plots, from Chechen separatists to internal rivals and disgruntled oligarchs. Each threat has come from a different corner of Russian society, reflecting the deep divisions and high stakes of power in the Kremlin. Each attempt has only tightened his security and burnished his image as a leader who endures. Putin's inner circle has grown ever more secretive, and his public appearances are meticulously choreographed, with layers of protection that rival any world leader. But Putin's Russia has also exported violence, with high-profile poisonings like Alexander Litvinenko in London and the Novichok attack in Salisbury. These attacks sent shockwaves through the international community, raising fears about the reach of Russian operatives abroad. A recent UK inquiry found Putin morally responsible for the Salisbury attack, deepening his pariah status in the West. The findings fueled diplomatic tensions, leading to sanctions and a further hardening of Russia's isolation. This cycle of assassination and retribution has blurred the lines between aggressor and victim. In this shadowy world, it's often difficult to tell who is striking first and who is retaliating, as both sides engage in covert operations and psychological warfare. The latest attack cannot be seen in isolation. It's part of a long, bloody saga of covert warfare. Each incident adds another layer to the complex web of intrigue and vendetta that defines modern geopolitics. The world of statecraft has become a shadowy battlefield of poisons, bombs, and clandestine operatives. In this environment, trust is scarce, and every handshake could hide a threat. The attempt on Putin is just the latest, most explosive chapter in a story that shows no sign of ending. As the world watches, the stakes and the dangers continue to rise. The assassination attempt struck at the worst possible moment, just as US-Russia peace talks in Riyadh aimed to end the war in Ukraine. President Trump had invested heavily in these negotiations, hoping to broker a historic ceasefire. The talks, built on fragile trust, were the most significant diplomatic effort in years. The attack immediately cast suspicion on hardliners seeking to sabotage peace. Now, the process is shrouded in doubt. Can talks continue when a principal leader is under threat? The attack could empower Kremlin hawks, pushing Putin toward a more aggressive stance. The dream of peace, once within reach, may have been consumed by the flames in Moscow. The world watches, uncertain if diplomacy can survive this crisis. The attack on Putin's motorcade was swift and precise. An explosive device targeted an armored Urus Senate limousine, breaching its formidable defenses. The sophistication of the attack pointed to a well-resourced, knowledgeable adversary. Putin was not in the struck vehicle, but the message was clear. His security could be breached. The explosion shattered the myth of Putin's untouchability and was captured on video, spreading instantly across the globe. The viral footage forced the Kremlin to respond, unable to deny the reality. The burning limousine became a propaganda disaster for a regime built on strength. In a single moment, Moscow's aura of control was replaced by chaos and doubt. In the hours after the explosion, the Kremlin scrambled to control the narrative. State media stayed silent, but viral video of the burning limousine made a blackout impossible. Eventually, officials confirmed a failed assassination attempt, vowing harsh justice for the perpetrators. Putin was declared unharmed, continuing his duties from a secure location. Security agencies launched a sweeping investigation, while leaks painted a picture of a massive manhunt. The attack's scale, disabling a 7-ton armored car, underscored the threat's seriousness. Independent fact-checkers and major news outlets corroborated the core details, cutting through disinformation. The viral video became the defining image, exposing cracks in the Kremlin's authority. The story could not be suppressed, forcing Russia to confront its own vulnerability. The attempt on Putin's life triggered a fierce crackdown across Russia. The FSB launched sweeping raids and arrests, targeting dissidents, ex-military, and business elites. The Kremlin used the attack to justify obliterating any remaining opposition, branding critics as traitors or foreign agents. New draconian laws are expected, deepening the authoritarian freeze. Inside the Kremlin, the attack may spark a brutal power struggle as Putin purges those deemed disloyal. The leadership could become even more insular and aggressive, heightening instability. State media rallies the public around Putin, but beneath the surface, anxiety and uncertainty grow. The illusion of stability has been shattered, leaving Russians to wonder what comes next. The country faces a darker, more unpredictable future. Western governments quickly condemned the attack, but their statements were measured and cautious. Officially, leaders opposed political violence, but beneath the surface, anxiety ran deep. No one wants a nuclear-armed Russia in chaos, regardless of their views on Putin. The West fears the Kremlin could use the attack as a pretext for escalation in Ukraine or against the West. Public statements avoided gloating, focusing on principles rather than personalities. The attack complicates already fragile peace talks, making diplomacy both more urgent and more difficult. A post-Putin Russia, possibly more extreme or fractured, terrifies Western planners. The explosion in Moscow has made the risks of the future painfully clear. The attempt on Putin's life puts his unusual relationship with President Trump under the spotlight. Trump has long touted his personal rapport with Putin as key to resolving conflicts like Ukraine. Now, that strategy faces its toughest test. Putin, too, has cultivated this bond, even showing personal concern after an attempt on Trump's life in 2024. The attack forces Trump to balance personal sympathy with political realities and deep mistrust of Russia at home. His response could either stabilize or shatter the fragile peace process. If Putin suspects US complicity, relations could spiral dangerously. The incident exposes the limits of personal diplomacy in the face of deep structural animosities. Trump's belief in his unique ability to broker peace is now under its harshest scrutiny. The assassination attempt on Putin marks a dramatic turning point in modern history, sending shockwaves not only through Russia but across the entire globe. The world watches in disbelief as the unthinkable unfolds in the heart of Moscow. This brazen act shatters the myth of Putin's invincibility, exposing deep vulnerabilities within the Russian state and revealing just how volatile the nation has become. The sense of security that once surrounded the Kremlin has been irrevocably broken. The world has entered a new era, one where the old rules no longer apply, and the risks of instability are no longer contained within borders. Every nation now faces the ripple effects of this crisis, as alliances are tested and global tensions rise. In Russia, the attack is likely to trigger a brutal crackdown, with authorities tightening their grip on power and dissent. Meanwhile, global markets reel from the uncertainty as investors and governments scramble to assess the fallout. The event deepens mistrust between Russia and the West, pushing both sides further apart and making genuine dialogue nearly impossible. Diplomatic channels that once offered hope now seem fraught with suspicion and hostility. Ukraine peace talks, already fragile, now hang by a thread, threatened by the specter of further escalation and the possibility of renewed violence. The path to peace grows ever more uncertain. This crisis is not just about one man or one nation, it's about the fragility of the entire international order. The institutions and agreements that have kept the peace are now under unprecedented strain. The attack forces us to confront the dangers of modern conflict, where violence, covert operations, and hybrid warfare are becoming the new norm. The lines between war and peace, truth and propaganda have never been more blurred. The stability of a nuclear power can no longer be taken for granted. With so much at stake, the risks of miscalculation or escalation are higher than ever, raising the stakes for every nation on Earth. As the world grapples with this crisis, careful analysis, clear-headed leadership, and a renewed commitment to diplomacy are more vital than ever before. The choices made in the coming days will shape the future for generations. The future is uncertain, and the stakes have never been higher. In this new era of uncertainty, the world must find a way to navigate the storm, or risk being consumed by it.